So what do we got next year?
Well, next on the list is net neutrality, which is definitely interesting topic right now, considering it passed to the FCC.
It is, yeah, it is. It's I hear a lot of the one thing I'm not grasping a concept on about it is like I'm hearing tons of people say the net neutrality has only not been around for the last couple of years, and like Obama took it away and we're bringing it back, kind of thing. Like the internet hasn't changed since Obama's been here, so like I don't like there's been some small changes, but they seem like they're almost helping out businesses. The only way they were looking out for more people to want to cheat the system, so like people are going to be able to like pay more money to get onto like less blocked access sites, and they're going to be able to stream illegally on certain sites, and like those people will be able to hide that up because they're big money companies like Verizon and stuff like that. Like it's going to be impossible if they have such a big, because I have a feeling like they're saying it's like I'm going to be all over the place with this because I talked to a lot of people at work about this.
Yeah, let me hear it.
Yeah, so like some people, my big theory before I say all this is I think that if net neutrality keeps going the way that I think it's going to go, I think there's like a solid 50% chance there'll be something equivalent to like an Obama phone, but it'd be called Trump Net. And it'd be like a government website for the people that can't afford the prices, because it's going to be so. Because here's what I think is going to happen. First off, I think that a lot of people are saying small businesses are going to thrive from this because they'll say, oh, we can just pop up shop and we can compete in the spots where they don't have coverage. So we can cover those 3 to 10% people. But if you're thinking about
money,
it's not, and it takes so much money to start a business. Mm-hmm. And like, you're not going to, it's going to be hard to get a loan through when you say, yeah, we're going to cover 3% of the United States. That's spread over the entire United States. You know what I mean? Like, that's such a huge span of land coverage with such a little concentrated area. So, and then, so it's like, and so like what you're also saying is you also offer coverage everywhere else too, not only in just those spots, because that means if people drive out of their, 7% area, they're not going to have coverage. Like if you go to any major city in the United States, you wouldn't have coverage. So that small business thing doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, because they're still going to have to pay to use like the towers, I'm assuming, from like AT&T.
That's the big problem is all the big companies own all the towers. That's why Google Fiber doesn't exist anymore.
What was Google Fiber again?
Google Fiber is going to be like 1 terabyte up, 1 terabyte down, like really awesome fast internet. But they were expanding slowly across, from the west over, where the Silicon Valley and over. But they just kept getting sued over and over again, where it wasn't even worth it for them to even try. Because basically all those big companies have been like, oh, I own these towers, or, just make it so much of a hassle that they couldn't even enter the market, which is completely unfair.
They're still getting the whole general concept wrong. They just keep breaking the same mistakes and same patterns over and over again. Like it definitely makes sense. But I mean, it's what they want. They want things to stay slow progressed. Yeah. Like they don't want extreme fast progress because there's and so there's a certain extent where it is unhealthy. Like if you have way too much progress too fast, and I think that's a lot of problems people had with not voting with Bernie Sanders. Like, oh, he's an honest guy, but he was just too radical. But it's like the concept with the conservatives right now. It seems like in the House and stuff like that, they're pushing through such radical things that are turning the clock back. Yeah, and like they're bringing it backwards fast. Like they're not even slowing it down anymore. They're just bringing it backwards. That's the whole point.
Yeah, they're pushing through handwritten bills like overnight, trying to pass them. Like instead of having people, it should be like a lengthy review process, like it usually is. But like, no, just pass it. It's okay.
Yeah, and they have so much control now. That's like one thing they blame Obama about, which I don't know. Like I don't know a whole lot about this, but like they lost like a ridiculous amount of House members and like delegates and stuff like that. So they like lost a lot of control. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know how it works. Honestly, I really don't. Like
very Republican controlled is the point.
For sure. And so it's like easy to pass. It's easier for them to pass things than ever, which kind of frustrates me too, because Obama could have passed a lot of stuff at the beginning because he had a lot of control when he came in. And when he in his 2008 campaign, he was like, yes, we can and change and you know what I mean. So it was like very inspiring. It was almost like it was better than Bernie Sanders in some ways because he had a better touch, had a better polish to his politician voice. And he was like just as likable or more likable to not just the millennials, but across the board.
Yeah, people loved it.
Like, he had a slow-paced demeanor, and he wanted change, and goddamn it, we all believed him. I mean, and he did change some things. I mean, pat on his back for some reforms and stuff. Like I don't want to go too into it, but there's a lot of stuff he didn't do good. Like some people say it's good or not good, but he put it through the most executive orders any president ever had. Now Trump's going to smash that by a million.
Yeah, just because he wants to get that number, not
Yeah.
that he gives a fuck about people.
Yeah. Well, he just wants the easy fix too. Like I'm worried that he will just bomb silly-nilly when things get complicated over in the Middle East, because they're going to sprawl up again if they. It just depends. Like, is Trump so Trump that he's not Republican agenda? Like, you know what I mean? That's one thing I'm always curious about, because is he being controlled is the question, because most presidents are being handled by somebody, and if he's not, that's interesting, because then, I mean, back when he was running for president, I mean, there was a lot of stuff. I was like, okay, damn, Trump. Like, in terms of like, he's like, pot, I don't give a crap. You know what I mean? Like, some things were god awful about Trump, but like little things like that, you know, he's like, he was kind of pro-choice at some points, and then sometimes he kind of switched to like, you know, pro-choice or pro-abortion.
Yeah,
And
that was just sowing over voters, though. You know, just to
he
get
was
over.
just swaying. He was
Yeah,
leaving
and
him
just
out.
campaigning, and then, you know, once you get in the office, you can just, you know, take back his word.
I want to hear some of your thoughts. Like, I feel like I've had the floor for a long time here. So like, I guess a question I could ask you, unless you had something that you were already ready to bounce off with.
Go ahead and ask away. Yeah.
Okay, so like, I guess with net neutrality, like, in terms of like the big picture of it, like, do you think it's gonna be worse than how it is right now in terms of like the actual concept of like just the business like, what do you think is going to happen with the businesses that already have control is basically what I'm getting at.
Like the big companies already have control, like what they're going to do, or like.
Yeah, like what do you think that they're like? How do you think this is going to better their agenda with net neutrality?
Well, taking it away, those big businesses are going to be able to, you know, push more internet packages on you, kind of like how the cable packages are. So they can block access to certain sites, make you pay more for that. But I did see something.
It's nuts.
It was on our Reddit and Facebook, actually. Not just a meme, but it's true. Or it's a possibility, at least in my opinion.
Sure.
It was like, you know, you can get to Google, but then you can't get to any other sites. Like you could have the Google package, but then, you know, that all these other sites are blocked. So what good is Google?
That's crazy, man.
Google, you know, all Google is directs you to another site. So like.
Now, what's the realm of possibility of that happening? Like, would there be a lot of red tape? Or would that be pretty just like they have control over that now and they can do whatever they want kind of thing?
They call them gatekeepers. They can decide, you know, what sites they want to put on, what sites they don't want to put on. It's all up to them, you know.
So what would happen to a small business that offered? So I guess here's something then with that would be the devil's advocate to what I was saying, with that to add on to like what I was curious about what you were saying. Now, when that 3%, 10% coverage argument, now, not only would they cover that whole area, but a small company could offer net neutrality somehow, couldn't they?
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole thing. Like a company could do it. You know, they're not required to get rid of net neutrality. They can do whatever they want. It's just when they got rid of net neutrality, like the big companies can do whatever they want, which is not good, because, you know, they'll pull the shit like that. But, you know, it gives freedom to the little ISPs. But once again, the problem is they have a hard time, you know, expanding because there's not a whole lot of customer base.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
sure.
You know, like the 3 to 10%. You know, that's not a whole lot of money, especially if you got to cover a large, the 1%. Yeah. If you had to cover, you know, that giant landmass, kind of like you're talking about in just the rural areas, that's hard to do. And if they can't get access to the poles and the lines that they need to, it's impossible, pretty much.
Yeah, that's insane. Now it brings up two questions because you brought up something interesting. So now I was kind of talking about those small businesses with the devil's advocate argument. So could we argue with net neutrality in a weird way? This is me advocating a little bit on the wrong side, in my opinion. But it's just an interesting topic. So if you compared the election from the 2016 election that we had to the now new net neutrality situation we have, and then we called the Democrats and Republicans the big businesses, okay? And then we compared the Green Party and maybe a little bit of the Democratic Party during the, what's it called? When Bernie Sanders was on the other half. You know, we can consider, you know, that he was pretty Green Party-ish though, you know, with his message. He was pretty independent. So independent would be a good word for it, honestly. Like, what if they had an independent internet that by either would be a net neutrality internet where it would be like a Bernie Sanders movement, where people decided they wanted this internet just because of the fact that it's net neutrality, or it's free. It's the free escape on the internet. And so
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think people would go for it.
yeah, like that'd be an appealing topic. I mean, because we're winding back the clock, so now we have to go back to the 2016 election in my comparison to where Bernie Sanders is. We're redoing the revolution of the internet through the means of an independent internet. You know what I mean? So it'd be like a step backwards to move forward.
There's just so many laws and like little loopholes set in place by the big businesses that prevent that whole revolution from happening, because if they try to do that and they break a law, those big companies will sue them, put them under, and then it's just gone instantly. Not to be like negative or put you down or anything on that subject.
No, you're right.
But
no, you're right.
It's just a bad situation. Like
it's a great comparison to what happened with the Democratic Party during the primaries with Hillary Clinton's. Hillary Clinton's Democratic Party versus Bernie Sanders and his people. Like that's basically what it was. Like, but the problem. So I guess to that point, I would say try again. If you're a rich dude that can afford to do it, and maybe just keep pushing the message. To another point that I wanted to make too. What if you just created something that was it was a seamless way to connect people, but it wasn't the internet web. So what if it was a new definition of how we stream things, or like somebody reinvented that through a different means of connectivity electronically or whatever, how the signals send. Is that something that is that a little bit too sci-fi, or
yeah, I don't know if there's like I mean, because it's pretty complicated there, getting there.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying though.
Yeah, I get you. If there's like some new technology to transmit the internet, but
yeah, that'd be crazy, wouldn't it? That'd flip people upside down. Oh my god,
yeah, that'd be crazy.
There'd be a lot of pirating because it'd be such a new thing. It'd probably become the next fucking, what would it be called? At first it would be like half. It would literally be 50-50. I bet it'd be like 50-50 equivalent to dark web, and then 50% regular web.
Yeah, definitely.
Just because there'd be so
some
new
weird shit on there.
It'd be like the antithesis of TrumpNet.
Yeah, it would be. It'd be the opposite. Yeah, just like whatever flies, whatever.
Yeah,
like, are you talking about like some like wireless internet that can just go like anywhere? Like not like using like the internet backbone, like the giant cords that are in the ground.
Yeah, it's not even about
the infrastructure that's in the ground. Like using some other.
Yeah, so like
means.
Maybe you have your own. Maybe you have your own satellite connectivity. You buy your own satellites. That might be a little easier solution than what I'm talking about.
The problem is it's slow. There's latency.
What if you create the technology to which you have? Damn, you're right though. The latency is tough.
Well, I mean, there's definitely possibilities to like improve that technology.
I think there's an inspiring aspect to having something like this happen because A, there's a chance to fight it again through the laws, which is harder, and B, it's always cool to see your view in the underdog perspective, in my sense, because in the 2016 election, I really liked how like you were like you weren't the bad boy or anything, but you were like the underground guy, and you really weren't because you were just, I feel like he had the right morality map to what made sense for the going forward in the government, but it just so happened everybody was Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump, so you kind of felt like a rebel in a way, even though you're not a rebel.
Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, I'm talking about Bernie, like when you were believing in Bernie, Yeah. But I feel like most people could resonate to like, I follow politics pretty decently, but then maybe that part doesn't resonate, but most people are on this page. So when Bernie Sanders started speaking his message and maybe somebody popped into a coffee shop or Subway and saw it on YouTube or CNN, their mom's watching it in their house, they saw him talking, they're like, holy shit. And then they actually started watching TV every day to see what Bernie had to say or to see how the election was going. I literally cut the music off at my bar during the election to see who won against Hillary Clinton and Trump. And I took the TV and I put the microphone that the band was playing in up to the TV, and we listened to Trump's speech. I got so into politics, and it was pretty much into Bernie. Like thanks to Bernie. Really quick before we go back was when I said the lost thing, and I stopped for a second. So it's really shitty because it seems like there's this like really really steep slope to whenever people were trying to put through like the Republicans or the Democrats. Honestly, to a certain extent, the Republicans are pushing through tax bills, but they already have these laws that are put into place that make it really easier to push their agenda forward and keep going forward with what they want more. But it's really hard. Their laws make it really hard to repeal. Is what's one of the most important things. Like, because you can say they have loopholes, you can say you have this and that, but what the question is how hard is it to repeal those? And they make it really hard to repeal those kind of laws, and they make it like a layup to repeal some of the stuff they put out there. And that's a lot of what Obama's problem was, dude, because when he ran, like from 2008 till 2016, he put up all these layups.
Yeah.
It seemed like he did good, and Trump's just fucking just like packing him on the backboard right now, like right before he goes up to slam it.
Yeah.
It's like that's one thing that you got to give credit to, like Republicans, honestly, like George Bush. I didn't like George Bush, but he's still got a lot of stuff that you can't touch until even after Trump's gonna be gone. That he pushed through, like I'm sure Obama did too. I mean, some people probably think they're laughing at me saying this shit, like that they actually really know what they're talking about, but. Just based off what I see. About that earlier, you were talking about how like that, when they have the loopholes like the AT&T and Verizon or Comcast or whatever we're talking about. Oh, that'd be interesting too. I bet you that. I wonder how the telephone combined internet companies do against just internet companies.
I mean, most of those companies own both, phone and internet and cable. Like they're all packaged together.
But if you just own cell phones, do you think it's going to fuck the cell phone companies over?
I mean, AT&T and Verizon are cell phones.
So how's that going to work with... Can you think of one company that sells cell phones but doesn't sell internet? They sell data, but they don't sell, like maybe
like Sprint or, I don't know if Sprint's...
How about cable? Sprint doesn't do cable, right?
Not sure about that. Charter?
Charter doesn't do cell phones.
That's true.
You want to say anything, man? Give you the floor. I could ask you questions.
I think we've kind of covered our opinions on this topic for now. I guess going forward, there's one more thing. There's like 17 or so states that are suing the FCC for passing that.
No shit.
18 states. Is there a list on here?
18. I bet you Alaska's number 18. I got a feeling.
I don't have the logistics of it, but I did see that it's not over. Like it's not like, oh, FCC won, we can't do anything. There's people doing stuff about it still.
Is a sue from the state to the federal government equivalent to a protest?
I'm not sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because there are certain state powers that trump federal.
But 17 or 18, I feel like it's a scare right now. I think until they get to like 30. Once they get to 30,
they don't give a shit because the FCC, those 5 members have complete control. Like they don't. Yeah. There's no check and balance systems. It's just they're elected, and they can they can pass what they want because I think it's the best for America.
There's got to be some extent to where we represent people to represent people, and what I mean by that is a representative democracy, but like versus a direct democracy. But there's got to be some level where you can't have a direct democracy. Like you can't vote for everything.
But
there's a Senate chair committee for the B League House typewriter, or you know what I mean, like.
Yeah, that stuff's fine,
There's got to have some delegation, but at the same time, there's got to be a certain extent. Like for president, I say direct vote makes sense. Screw the primary. Like the primaries changed like almost like half the elections, and it's not even in the way of like through cheating. I'm sure not cheating, but just through the shitty law of it sucks too. But just the concept of when people are watching the news, they see like all these states winning and like they're about to go vote and they're like, shit, Hillary Clinton's winning, man, might as well go on the wagon. Like you know what I mean? Like there's definitely a sway in opinion when you're seeing Florida. Like several states taking over. But the demographics say otherwise. Like if they actually like really were paying attention, then they would realize, oh shit, never mind, because our state has a significant amount more people that represent the other person. Because I have the same views as them, but I was, leaning towards Hillary because I know the name. That's why the Electoral College sucks. Like, even through a direct democracy, they should have it over a process where it can't be broadcasted on TV. Like, they should have it. Well, yeah, it's really hard, too, because you want to make it private, but then you don't want them to have ultimate control through corruption.
The fight's not over, so don't give up hope. These changes aren't going to be made, like, overnight. Like, obviously, we're still talking on here. Nothing's blocked yet, and we have...
Yeah, for sure.
Like, they're not going to do this overnight, because... that would cause craziness.
Yeah, they would lose their agenda.
Yeah, people would be cutting cords. They're gonna wait for this all to blow over, and then they're gonna slowly implement the changes until it's
You're right. They're gonna ease you into the hot water, man. You hit the nail on the head right there. That made sense. Like that totally made sense.